And on the island, we do it island style. From the mountain to the ocean, windward to the leeward side. From the mountain to the ocean, windward to the leeward side. It's Breakfast with Bob, oh yeah.
Pacho Man, Championship Edition. We are brought to you by EAS Sports Nutrition, Hoka One Polar, Oscar Wellness, Velo Fix. We are at beautiful Four Seasons Hualalai, and we're also airing on triathlonworld.com. Next guest, six-time Ironman world champion, Dave Scott. Dave, that was a lot of fun racing yesterday.
Wow. Amazing.
Don't you think?
Yeah, great day. Phenomenal day. But quite another day that was really unpredictable on paper.
Yeah.
It looked like, okay, we've got all the stallions and the young mares here that are going to really battle it out. I mean, I thought the men's race and the women's race, we were going to see a close race. And I'm not diffusing the men's race, which was very tight. But there's such an attrition here. It's really amazing just to see how people become completely unglued, not even having the ability to kind of hang. Either they've got it for a while and then they're gone.
Yeah, and we saw that a lot. Guys who were right there. And I just wonder, when you're looking at a race like this and you see everybody sort of packed up on the bike, and I think Sebastian brought up a good point. When he caught up to the group on the bike, it's like, well, why didn't you just go by? He's like, well, the amount of energy I would have to use to go by 15 people I would pay for it later. Right. So it's sort of, to a certain degree, he's going to then sit in. And it changes the whole way people race. When you see big groups like that, and you know that you can't, if you were racing now, how would you handle something like that when you're, of course, you've never come up from behind before, so you don't have to worry about that.
Well, in some ways I have. You know, I was always chasing the fast guys on the swim. I always knew I had that guy named Mark Allen nearby. But he's right over here. Excuse me, Mark. But I was always cognizant of where the leaders were. But I was also, trying to maintain what I felt was my plan, my pace. Yeah. And there is attrition. And the irony in this race, and particularly looking at the men's, as you just brought up, is that there was a nucleus that kind of filtered down. There was almost 22.
Yes.
The second wave caught that first wave, and as they're leaving town, there's a big, massive group. There's drop-off even going out to Javi. But coming back in, there was still, I think, 11 guys that were together.
Yes, within, 41 seconds or something. Yeah.
Right, and then we see them on Polani, and I saw them very early on, about 2 or 3 miles, and it's already totally fractioned. It's gone. I mean, Frodeno's in the lead, and Sebastian's right with them. The two of them have separated from the rest of the field. They were right together on the bike. I mean, it just tells me a lot of those guys are working over the top to stay there. Sebastian's kind of setting the tone and the pace, but he knows he's got good running legs, as Frodeno does. So why not just look at that as they did? And, I'm going to be battling for first. There's two guys that really, I think, had that mindset, and that's what it played out.
On the women's side, Daniela Ryf just had one of those epic days where it's something that I've seen in the early days. They talked about Dave Scott, great swim, bike, not a great runner. And we've always said for the last couple of years, Daniela 306, 307. And then, she needs 12 minutes. She needs 14 minutes because Miranda's going to run 250 or less. Right. Well, she changed perceptions, right? When she runs 256 and outsplits Miranda, now it's a different ball game.
Yeah, I think let's just talk about Miranda real quickly. She didn't have her day, and I'm not making an excuse for her because I don't know exactly what transpired. Sure. And I think because there was such a massive gap between the two of them, we're looking at, Miranda really wasn't on her best day. Her bike leg was way off. I thought her swim was pretty solid.
Yes.
But she fell off on the bike. I saw it at 5 minutes, and I thought, well, she's there. And we actually chatted about it, Bob. I came in and I said, Miranda's really close. And I thought it was 15 minutes, and you corrected me and said, no, it's closer to 20.
Yeah,
and it was
22.
22 minutes. And I thought, oh, my gosh, she's really fallen off. But also, Daniela set the tone. Miranda's getting those splits out there. Not only is her arch rival, Daniela, breaking the entire field, but now she's increasing her time. So for Miranda, who's riding out there, boy, what a disheartening feeling. Even knowing that she has the ability to run, but making up a 22-minute deficit, no way. And, I look at Daniela's race. I think once she got her running legs going and realized that, hey, I can win this, but I not only can win this, but I can take the record. I'm going to go after that record. And I was watching on the monitor at the finish line, seeing her coming in, and she just looked like a gazelle. In fact, I'm sure you saw her, Bob. She came across the finish line. Everyone's collapsing, rolling across. She almost sprints through the media stands. And I said, oh, you better slow down, Danielle. The line was back there. I mean, she was brilliant.
She looked like she was going to go do a post jog, right? She was like, hey, I need to cool down a little bit after this 5K. Jan Frodeno, obviously coming off of Olympic gold. Now he's won this race twice in a row. He seems like, obviously, he's got the formula. He's got the talent. He, this year, went to challenge Roth and broke that record, 7:35.
Wow.
Yeah. He's just so impressive across all three, right? He's a front pack swimmer, best cyclist. But he also said something yesterday afterwards. He goes, there was a few points where I felt like I'd be dropping out. I'm having an awful day on the bike.
Yeah.
When we look at it from the outside, we don't see that. All we see is he looks amazing. When you watched him, could you tell at any point that he looked like he was struggling? He didn't look like it.
I wasn't out there on the bike leg, Bob. I was looking on the monitor, and of course, when you see them in that pack, and there's a little bit of movement back and forth, he looked pretty fluid.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anyone alive in the races that Paula won 8, Mark won 6, and I had 6. There were many, many moments where you have this seed of self-doubt.
Yeah.
And it can really manifest itself if you allow it to, or you just kind of let it pass and kind of regroup. And I think, one way to turn it around is that, hey, I'm in the lead. The world's best are right here. Just relax, get through this bad patch. And he's done that many, many times because his resume is impressive. Yeah. But I think, the important thing in kind of looking at him is that he passed on 70.3 Worlds this year.
Yes.
He did the, early season 7:35 extraordinary world record, but had really, I'll say, a fresher body coming in here.
I agree.
Sebastian had a magnificent race at 70.3, gets second by a couple seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, just a amazing race. But that takes energy traveling. It takes energy to say, hey, I'm on my game here. And then all of a sudden to flip it around a month later and come over here and repeat. Both of them had their best runs.
Right.
And so when I look at performance and longevity, I always look, okay, what can you do on that marathon? And I said this yesterday, Bob, when we were talking. Frodeno never was even close to his potential on the run last year. And all of a sudden he drops at, I think, 8 minutes. He went 2:45, and Sebastian Kienle was 2:49 this year. So now we're seeing him, okay, you guys are running legitimately. Knock that down. And I'm saying this because I have great admiration for him. I think they have the potential of running between 2:35 and 2:38. So what can they do? If they were together and it came down that last 8 miles, could they have upped the ante a little bit and started clipping off 15 seconds a mile faster?
Yes.
Just with a competitive nature. But, a great win for him and a really amazing time.
So Patrick Lang from Germany, 2:39. And we've been talking about this for years, the run times not coming down. And you were the guy, the first one under 3 hours, under 2:55 and under 2:50. You never set limits. And a lot of times when you see the first person, there's that 4-minute mile out there, and it takes forever for somebody to break it. And then as soon as somebody breaks it, then a number of people do. Okay, it can be done. Now, somebody going sub 240, I think, can change things. And people start looking, well, if I'm going to win here, I have to be able to run 2:35 so that on race day I can go 2:38 or 2:39.
Right. Yeah, Patrick Lang, I had no idea who he was. We were looking at this guy, and he's on the monitor. I said, wow, he's running quite well. And I was talking to Mark, and I said, gee, I wonder where the split is. He's moving along. And obviously not knowing where he had come off the bike and read this morning he was 23rd, moved up to 3rd. An amazing day for him. And I think a lot of people just said, well, this guy's not going to be in the race. But as he started filtering through the masses, they said, oh, yeah, he could maybe get on the podium. I'm just going to say this on behalf of Mark because I think it's historically it's important to recognize this.
Yes.
Roger Bannister didn't have chip timing. He had a stopwatch, and he had several stopwatches on him. When Mark and I raced in 1989, that particular day, my friend Pat Feeney, and you know Pat very well, physicist, he knows numbers. He has stopwatches. I said, Pat, I want the splits because the transitions were either folded in. T1 was folded
separate. Yeah, right.
Yes, was folded into the swim. Eventually, the time is the time. And on the bike leg, that was folded into the run. So as we're coming into T2, that time that we're in there changing our clothes, and we changed
And
our
off
shorts
your bike and
off
all
our
that.
bike, that was Mark's marathon best time and mine as well. Pat Feeney had Mark Allen in 2:38:53.
Yeah.
I'm about 57 seconds slower than that because we started at the outset. So, and I'm not saying this in a boastful way.
Yes.
I'm saying in a historical, accurate way that I think should be recognized. Patrick Lang, phenomenal run. In the record books, it's going to go down as the fastest run ever. Mark Allen holds it, though.
Woo, right there. So, Big D, when you look, someone like a Sebastian Kienle, he knew that to beat Jan Frodeno, he had to become a better runner. And he'd been dealing with Achilles issues for the last couple of years and has that under control now. He ran 2:49. He has to come away with this, even though, he got second. He went 8:10. Mm-hmm. He ran 2:49.
Right.
As somebody who coaches athletes, how does he take this and go back and to the drawing board and go, how do I beat this guy?
Well, I think we have to look at the timing of their season. What are you doing leading up to that? Because the attrition in this race, both men and the women's, was dramatic. Big fallout, big drop-offs. Are people doing too much during the year, and they just don't have the fresh legs coming into this? I don't know what Sebastian is doing. 2 stellar races, 2 seconds,
Yes.
70.3, and Ironman yesterday. So I would put myself in his shoes and say, you know what? I'd like a win on one of those. I'd like a win. What's the more valuable one? Well, right now,
This is.
the Wimbledon it's right here. He wants to win this race again.
Right.
And I would really look at, as he's laying out his season in 2017, what's it going to take to do this? Patrick Lang set the bar, 2:39. He's 2:49. The slowest in the top 10 was 2:55. There's 2:55. So we're looking at a 16-minute spread in the top 10 with the men's marathon. Kienle's 10 minutes slower than Patrick Lang. He must say, hey, I've run 110 off the bike in a 70.3, 111 at Worlds this year. Am I a 2:49 marathon runner here in Ironman Kona? I look at it. Shouldn't be. Absolutely not. So I would come back here with a little vendetta and say, you know what? I've got a sub 240 with my swim, which has come a long ways, and his cycling prowess. So I'm going to put some heat on everyone, including Jan Frodeno in 2017.
Love that. Dave, as always, thank you so much.
Oh, we're done?
We are done.
Oh, I had a lot more things to cover.
I'm sorry. Oh, here we go.
I'm kidding.
No.
I'm kidding,
No.
Bob. Poncho's in the background. He's got a whole new rendition coming up here.
Wait, Poncho.
Yeah. No, well, we can sing with him. I've got an extraordinary
You
voice.
do have a good voice.
A little bit, yeah. It really comes on the day after the race, after I was out there for 15 hours and 35 minutes yesterday, coaxing my other Bob to the finish line.
Did he get there?
He got there. Hallelujah.
I love that. And what was his goal?
Well, his goal was a lot faster, but we're not going to talk about that. We can cover that later. Maybe that was a coaching element that was missed.
Dave Scott has been our guest. Poncho Man, take us out.
And on the islands, we do it all in style. From the mountain to the ocean, windward to the leeward side. Breakfast with Bob. Oh, yeah.
Bravo.